Hey everybody, good morning. It's your girl, Love Lisa, and you are right here in the encounter room, and I'm pretty excited. We got some really dope guests today. Let's start with my good friend right out from Houston, Texas. We got Miss Stacey Porter. She's the
Hello.
president. Hey, Stacey.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Stacey is the president, and she is the founder of the Self Foundation right there in Houston, Texas. She is also an artist. She makes beautiful paintings, but as well as she actually designs her own jewelry as well. So you got to check her out, but she'll give you more information throughout the course of this. We got Dr. Lynette, MD. You know, I had a doctor last time when the men were here for discussion. That was my cousin. So I'm proud to say she's my cousin too, my first cousin. Dr. Lynette, welcome from
Thank
Virginia.
you so much.
Thank you so much for being here. She's from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and she is your health guru. She's going to keep us together. She can talk about stress, talk about gut health, all things to keep us healthy, especially at a time as this. So again, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We going to my girl right here from Alexandria, Louisiana. It's Miss Lahoma Richardson. She is so many things, but you know, she has actually been with the Sheriff's Department for 21 years out there, as well in the correction. 22?
Yes.
Oh, she's like, don't forget it, 22 years.
Yeah, give me all my time.
All your time. 22 years in
Yes.
the Sheriff's Department, under the Correctional Division, correct?
Right, that's correct.
But also she is the founder, let me just get this out because I got this word. She's the founder of Breaking Recidivism, right?
Yes. Yes.
She's the founder of Breaking Recidivism, yes. And that is basically the tendency of off of a convicted criminal to reoffend. So she's in the business to help people not to be able to become an offender again. So we thank you for that. She's also a motivational speaker and an influencer, but she also is a model as well. And, you know, it came a little later, but you know, it's been an amazing journey for her.
Yes.
So I want to welcome you three. But before we get started, I got to go back to my co-host. It's Mr. Eastland in the neighborhood right there, Houston, Texas.
Good morning.
What's up, Mr. Eastland? Good morning. Thank you guys for being here. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me just fix this connection. I just want to, okay. So we are here, we're talking, you know, we have, Mr. Eastland, we have three amazing, strong women in front of us from different sectors. And here we are in the time of a pandemic. And plus, you know, all of the things that's going on with Black Lives Matter. And the topic is mama. And we're going to say mama because each and every one of us on this Zoom, besides Mr. Eastland, is a mama. But I say that because it's a strong word, and it's a word, one of the final words of Mr. George Floyd. And I want to talk, you know, start off, you know, just by, you know, with your thoughts about that. As mothers, women who are pioneers in your own right, how did that make you feel knowing that you heard that? You know, so Dr. Lynette.
Thank you, Lisa, again for having me here today. You know, I was at work when someone had mentioned there was a video out on the internet regarding this incident with Mr. Floyd. And I was watching television, watching the news, and a video appeared, and I wasn't quite sure what it was. And as I proceeded to watch it, I'm like, oh boy, this is what the staff person at work was talking about. And when I realized what was going on, I had to turn it off. I did not watch the complete thing. I did not watch the complete execution of Mr. Floyd.
I'm sorry, can we have everybody? I'm sorry, I was hearing some background noise. Go ahead, Lynette.
As a physician, I have seen death before, and I did not want to watch the entire video. So I turned it off, and I proceeded to you know, hear bits and pieces throughout, you know, the days that followed his death. But as we know, the video just kept playing over and over again on the internet, the TV, and I could not escape those images. And at one point, one of the videos that was showed was where he called out "Mama," and that broke my heart. And so that's I'm speaking from the heart. It broke my heart, as a mother, and it just made me realize the power us mothers have. That our children, hopefully, they realize they're reaching out, "Mama, protect me," but there are some circumstances that Mama cannot protect our children, and so it was really breaking for me.
Yeah. And, we're all women of God, and it's still, to hear that, we understand that where people go after all of this, but it hurts, So, Stacey, what was your thoughts with this?
So, can everyone hear me okay?
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me today. My thoughts just looking at the video, I didn't watch the entire video myself. I was only able to take in but so much, and then I had to cut it off from really just dying further and exploding inside of me. My uncle was his coach here in Houston, and is my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but his mother is deceased, correct?
Yes. It was
so. It was hard, just as Dr. Lynette mentioned, it was heartbreaking to know that he was calling out to his mother. But the only part that I could find comfort in is the fact that because his mother was deceased, he was essentially seeing her. And maybe she was welcoming him. Maybe that was his comfort. And that's the only way I can make peace with it in my mind. But it's very troubling to know that, as Dr. Lynette said, it was an execution, just in broad daylight with with witnesses. And so, we can't protect our children from everything, but we can speak a blessing over them. We can pray over them. We can tell them what to do. We can give them, a checklist of things to do. It doesn't mean that someone who is evil will not still approach them and still try to harm them. And so as a mother, it just makes you want to hug and squeeze and love on your kids and in your family in general, nieces and nephews, children in your family, friends and their kids. It just makes you want to hold them much closer and spend more time with your family. Life is very precious. And that young man's life was just taken from him, at a wink, just a blink of an eye, and it was gone. And I spent last weekend at my aunt and uncle's house, and my uncle, he wasn't himself. He really wasn't. He just, of course, he had helped raise his child as a coach, and he felt very connected. So he went, although we were celebrating something different, he went and he laid down. But my aunt, she said, it just dawned on me that if we had asked George, did you ever know that your name would ring out, around the globe? She said, he would have never believed it. He would have said, who, me? Little old me? How can my name ring out around the world? But it indeed has.
Yeah. And, that's the beauty of all of this, is that, nobody knows if their name's going to ring out, if they're going to make a difference. But it's our job as a mother to make sure that, we continue to encourage our children. Lahoma, what are your thoughts? When you heard Mama, and you're from a different, and you're 21 years in, I saw your gun, I see, your uniform. So, how does that, how do you separate that? And what did when you heard Mama?
Oh gosh, in the beginning, I did not watch the video. I think said the same thing. She didn't watch it. I'm not sure if Ms. Porter said it, but I didn't watch the video in the beginning. My husband was telling me about it. He was like, "Oh, babe, there's cocaine on his neck," and I'm like, "What?" He said, "Yeah," and I couldn't watch it. But I guess a few days passed by, and I was listening to Mayor Fry, Jacob Fry, and he was the one that wanted the police officer arrested. And just listening to his little speech, they showed the video, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I was not trying to watch this," but I watched it, and when I did, I was like, "Oh my gosh, he was calling out for his mother." And I've heard before that if you call out for your mother, evidently you are at the last breath of your life, and because that's the first person you pretty much see. So when I saw that, I could not fathom having to go through that if that was my child, if that was my son. And I thought about the fact of Mary, which is Jesus' mother. She said, "That's my son hanging on the cross." She actually watched her child die, executed the same way. Now, George Floyd's mother did not see him executed, but can you imagine what that would have been for her had she seen that? Just, oh my gosh, just horrible. And my heart just goes out to the family, to everyone, even the people that was videoing that. Can you imagine how they felt? You know, they were just standing there. They could not do anything about it, nothing. Because had they tried to intervene, well, guess what? You already know what would happen had they tried to intervene. So they had to stand there and watch this man just die. 8 minutes and 46 seconds of his life. They watched it.
You said something, and, you talked about, if we were there, what we would have done. But there was a young lady, Darnella Frazier, she's 17 years old. I don't know if you all know this. And this is, really changed my thoughts when it comes to even women. We are a strong group. God has really created us to be resilient and powerful. I'm gonna let you chime in, Mr. Eastland, because I see you, But this 17-year-old Darnella Frazier bravely, she was the one who filmed Officer Derek Chauvin kneeling on Floyd's neck. Can you imagine a 17-year-old girl, having the strength to do that? And now, she's being, bullied and everything online because of it. Do we understand the strength that we have? 17 years old to be able, and if you watch the video, I probably, unlike you all, I watched it as soon as it was sent to me, but she stood there. The camera wasn't shaking. God had to be with her. What are your thoughts with that?
I think that's a lot of responsibility to give to anyone, let alone a 17-year-old child. It's just ironic, the irony of the situation, because deemed in the Black community, we're considered adults at the age of 18. You go to college, you're grown now, but I just think that is a lot of, that's a lot to give to a 17-year-old. That's a baby. So to ask her to do something to the magnitude of what you're requesting, I think you have to first take a step back and ask yourself, would I be in a position to do something if I was there first?
But I don't even think anyone asked her. I think it was just, and here we go back to that word mama. Some of things, and it doesn't take you to have a physical child for you to be a mother, okay? So it's an instinct that God put in us. And even her at 17 years old, she grasped that she just knew what to do, right?
She did. She
knew what to do. And she kept her composure. And I think that what we want to dive in, how does it feel to be women today, Black women, knowing that, we have this much strength to do the things? There's no limits on what we can do, right? So what is your thoughts on that? Seeing this 17-year-old woman, young lady, not even a woman, a young lady, did it change your perspective of, what you can do?
I didn't know who the young lady was or who the videographer was until now. Um, I just believe that in our life, in our calling here on earth, God has sent each and every one of us to do something. She was there in that moment because that's how she was set up. That was just how God made her. She was going to record that, whether they, pulled her to the side or whatever the case was. He sent her there at that moment to be a witness and to use technology to help her be a witness. And I believe that we all have these moments in our life where it's almost like a baton handoff. That's why it's really important to be where you're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? God has an assignment for the next person, or He has a gift for someone. Someone listening today is supposed to hear something we're saying right now, and this is one of our baton handoffs for others, because there is strength in numbers. You say that all the time, Lisa. It's very true. There's strength in numbers. There's strength in our individuality. God made us and He put us together a certain way on purpose. Never ever feel like, you're at a disadvantage, or God didn't make you right, or He didn't give you this gift, or you would rather be gifted in this other area. It's not how He constructed us. We each should be happy in our own uniqueness. And that young lady was there for that moment. That was, she had many other assignments, I pray, but that was what she was supposed to do. And she recorded a very important moment in time.
She did. And her name will go in history. Dr. Lynette, you talk about stress.
Yes.
How can this affect her? And all of us, how does stress come into play when it comes to us, those who saw that video, and maybe, some type of, health issues come from that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. Yeah, I learned that that the video was shot by a 17-year-old about a week ago. And I was surprised, and I'm thankful that she recorded it. In that video, I did hear initially there were, persons talking, say, hey, get off. There were other people there. I wonder why was she the only one that pulled out the camera from that view to record? So praise God, as Stacey mentioned, that she was there for a purpose. But I am of course concerned about her mental health. I did hear that she was in counseling, and the comments that Lisa, you had mentioned that she was being bullied. But stress is that pressure that you feel. There's good stress, there's bad stress, and certainly this situation is bad stress. And stress under normal circumstances, the hormones produce epinephrine, steroid hormones to help your body get through the situation. But in prolonged circumstances, those hormones cause damage to your body. And long term, our community overall has just been subjective to stressors of all kinds. And the excess stress leads to diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, cancers, just so many illnesses. And hopefully, despite the stressors, if we take some steps from a personal standpoint to sort of counteract those stresses, hopefully the effect of diseases will be a little bit less. It may be a lot less.
Do you think, we know it definitely would affect her, but how about the people just who watch the video?
Okay. Yeah, just the repeated imagery over and over and over again of watching these videos leads to trauma. And, it may even be at some point, Karen, that we're experiencing PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, because we're watching this execution over and over again on our screens.
Well, but this is probably another topic for another show. African Americans can just have PTSD. This is something that's been going in our society and communities for a long time.
Right.
So, you know, these are images that unfortunately we've lived with all of our lives. You know, we
Yes.
so happen to catch this one, you know,
Yes.
on camera, but we had them all back, you know, when it comes to, you know, way back in slavery, back when the bombings and, you know, hangings and, you know, so yeah, absolutely.
And I think that the beauty of us being women, mothers, that this we manage to go on, we manage to live, we manage to take care of our children. God made us strong like that.
Absolutely. Lahoma, you know, from a, you know, perspective from law enforcement, you know, yeah, you know, from law enforcement, what did you think by looking at the video? You know, because here you are, a mama, African-American woman, 21 years in that uniform and representing, you know, law enforcement.
22 years.
22. I'm sorry, I gotta give you that. Look, she's like, out of there. She's 22.
Doing 22.
She want
But
all.
anyway, I want all my time. I'm
All
just
of
like the offender to say, but hey, they want all their time, their good time. But anyway, being in corrections, I've had to service or serve all races, mainly males. When I was working at the parish jail, it was men and women, but not as many women because it was like an in and out. It was like, you know, you get arrested, you come to jail, you can stay there, wait your bond, and if you bond out or whatever the case is, you go home. But now, since I'm on a different level, I am the reentry director for this region. So I deal with only DOC males, Department of Corrections, and these guys have been given some time to serve. So my job is to put together the program so that they can go through these classes, get some information, and once they're released, they will not recidivate. So I serve all races, and I don't want to touch too far in it, but as we see pretty much globally, like Ms. Porter said, it has affected everyone, all races. George Floyd's death has affected all races. And as a law enforcement officer, you cannot be prejudiced. You cannot be a racist. I'm sorry, you just cannot be. You're going to service all race. So if you have that in you, then you don't need to work anywhere part of law enforcement. None. Because there's predominantly Black men in prison. And I think everybody knows that. I mean, all across the United States, I'm not sure in the other countries, but all across the United States, those prisons are predominantly Black. And if you do not like Black people, then you might not need to work that job, because when something like this happens, hey, it's going to affect everyone. Everyone. I've seen. I was looking on TV and I could see the protesting, and I told my husband, I said, these aren't just Black people protesting. I see some white people, I see some other races. Even in Branson, Missouri, I was there and there was people protesting. I didn't see one Black. It was all white people. And they had on these signs, you know, Black Lives Matter. No life matters until Black Lives Matter. I mean, and whatever the case is, some people will say, well, they're just doing that for whatever reason. Whatever the case is, God judges the heart. So whatever they're doing it for, God would judge them. But, you know, let the truth be known, it was all racists that was protesting. So.
So I wanted to chime in and ask you amazing mothers and Black women, a few questions regarding to the mayor in DC. As we know, she have now changed a street, had it beautifully painted bright yellow, and changed the name to Black Lives Plaza. So I just wanted to ask you guys, how brave do you feel as if she had to be to make that adjustment to a city such as DC?
Oh God, super brave.
Very brave.
I've spent a lot of time in DC, and I think that was really brave. But you know, DC is also known as Chocolate City, so
yes,
you know, it was appropriate.
Yes.
And
Totally
it was a
agree.
beautiful sight to see those words
Yes.
printed there,
Mhm.
and to see it in front of the White House. That was a
And
beautiful sight.
I think another city has done the same thing. Did you guys see that yet? I think there
Charlotte.
was another
Charlotte has
city.
done it as well.
Okay, yeah,
Charlotte
they
has
did
done it
it.
as well.
Yeah, they had it painted on the streets.
And
So quick, do you think, Miss Stacey, do you think Mayor Sylvester Turner will allow something like that to take place here in Houston?
We'll see. We'll see. You're speaking of an African American mayor who grew up in Acres Home, which is, not right. He still lives in Acres Home. That's what I love about it. I'm
Yes,
like,
he
okay, well,
does.
go
He does.
ahead, Sylvester. But I think that given the right parameters, Houston is a very diverse environment to begin with.
Yes.
It's just one of those cities where you have opportunity no matter what color you are. But quite obviously, there's still a struggle. The struggle is still real. And, as a people, we used to always say, oh, well, my phone is ringing. I apologize. As a people, we used to always say the struggle will not be televised. I don't know if you guys said that coming through school or whatever, but
probably started it off, you know that.
right. But apparently that was wrong. The struggle is being televised.
So
And so,
regarding,
I think at some point before he leaves office that he will get a chance to do that. Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Good.
what about in Alexandria? I'm sorry, Ellie. What about in Ellie? They don't call it Alexandria when you're from They call it Ellie. So what about in Ellie?
In Alex, it's just pretty much say ALEX, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Do I foresee that happening? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't foresee it happening, but who knows? God may pierce these people's heart and allow it to happen. I just don't see it, but hey, God's powerful.
Yeah.
He is.
Indeed.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I don't foresee that happening in Virginia Beach. But again, we'll see what happens.
But I have a question regarding Virginia Beach. With
Uh-oh.
them beheading the Christopher Columbus statue a couple of days ago.
Look at them. Yeah.
So the question.
Repeat that. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
So the question I have, and like I say, so going back to the controversy with the taking down of the Confederate statues worldwide, do you believe that with everything that's going on with George Floyd's death and the removing that aspect of history, do you think now we're in a position to rewrite history from the aspect of what George Floyd's death has brought about from everyone?
Now, I certainly understand the removal of these relics of the Confederacy.
Mm.
We can remove all of those things, but we can't change the heart. So, the systemic racism, if it's within their systems and in a person's heart, yes, we can remove those statues, especially out of our I guess government facilities.
Mm-hmm.
But what can we do to erase those symbols out of person's hearts?
This is that's
a
the
question.
That's the and I want to talk about like even as moms, because this is the topic, mama, that powerful word of mama, the strength that comes with it, the love, the just the willingness to lay our lives down for our children. And I don't think it just is a black thing, a mama thing. I believe that it's a white mama thing. So a lot of times people want to put black women against white women, right? They want to do this constantly. But I think, and I'm seeing a lot of white women, a lot of white mothers are the ones that are the ones initiating, hey, Black Lives Matter. But from a mom standpoint, and, and a Black woman, what would you say, have you been afraid for your own children? I know, Stacey, Bryce is a little younger, Lahoma, you got the oldest children, and Lynette, you have a daughter, but, nevertheless, they are educated and they're Black. Do you ever fear for their life?
I'll start. My daughter, she recently graduated from Penn State, and in that that area is predominantly a Caucasian area, and she did go back up there after graduation for a couple of weeks, and of course I have concerns. Just be careful. I mean, she's had no problems these past 4 years as a student, but since the dynamics, all the situation that has occurred, we don't know quite what would happen if she's out at night by herself. So I tell her to be careful. So yes, I have been concerned, but praise the Lord, she has been safe, and she's actually back home with me now. So thank you, Lord.
Yay. But you were concerned, though. It's a different concern that we have for our children than other races have for theirs. Stacey?
Yeah, as a mom to a son, it is, it's tough. We all have experienced some sort of racism, or we see symbols, or we see I guess someone not accept you and not even know who you are. But for African American men and boys, this is a whole different thing. They can just be standing there. One young man was just jogging. He even looked through a couple of new home constructions, and who hasn't done that? Who hasn't seen homes that were, nearly completed and go, oh, well, let me see what they did in here. A lot of people love house hunting, or, just looking at architecture. And when you live in a culture where all you have to do is just stand there and be Black, I mean, the way God made you, not even realizing, I just don't even think people realize how much we love being African American. I just don't even know if that is a real thing. Hello, we love our skin. We love who we are. We embrace who we are. We love all our shades. And so, it is tough. It's tough. And I saw a post yesterday. I'm not on social media a lot, but every so often I'll jump on. I try to control what goes in here in these two and in this, because I know what that can produce later. And so I try to control my environment to a certain degree. But I saw a post recently, and it was paying homage to Black Lives Matter, but they added on and attached women's struggles. And I happened to get on the phone with my brother just like right after that. And I said, okay, I saw this post, and I was like, we're not going to do this. We're not getting ready to add women's struggles to Black Lives Matter.
But they're also trying to add the LGBT with that as well. So
listen, LGBT has had struggles. Women have had struggles. Listen, sickle cell anemia. I mean, we could just add a whole bunch. This is just about people like Mr. Floyd, who just got executed on the street, just minding his own. I don't even know what happened. I don't care. I don't care if he cussed somebody out. I don't care if he ran a red. I don't know what happened. I just know that there has to be other ways that you can, detain someone other than putting your knee on their neck and not listening to the fact that he can't breathe. There has to be something. So yes, I'm always concerned. I'm definitely concerned about us latch on type of thing, trying to get another cause looked at in this very sensitive time. I just think there is a better way to do that. Is not to take from anyone's struggle. I am also a woman. I get it. But all I'm saying is right now, the focus, the way God has it, and from what I can see, the focus is on making all lives matter, meaning Black lives matter, meaning no life matters until Black lives matter.
That's good. Lahoma?
Trying to hit the unmute. Okay, I was so tuned in to Miss Porter.
You know, have you feared for your sons? Because, you know, you got grown men over there.
Yeah, my baby.
And you live in
would be-
Louisiana. Let's just put this in that, like, Louisiana,
wanna
Confederate state,
add-
you know. I mean, so,
You
you
want
know,
to add that, huh?
please, you know, inform us.
You need to add that. Okay. What I've done with all of my children since I've been in law enforcement, the very first day, and I started to see what law enforcement was really all about. Okay. I would explain to my children how to act when if you get pulled over or if you're somewhere and the police has to deal with you. I will explain to them how you're supposed to act. You know, you don't just sit there and just wild out. Even if you didn't do anything, you will have your day in court if you didn't do anything. You don't have to go back and forth with the officer right then. If he said, oh, you ran the red light, and you said, well, no, I didn't. He writes you a ticket or whatever. Take it to court. Fight it in court. Don't fight there on the street because you don't know what can actually happen. So I have always stressed to my kids, you know right from wrong. Your mom is in law enforcement. I'm teaching you guys how to obey the law, teaching you how to be respectful to the police officers, whoever they are. And that doesn't change. I want to say this. Well, let me just say this much here. As far as me ever being afraid for my kids or anything, Dylan, no, I wasn't. I really wasn't. But now that I see how that has happened, and it's not just George Floyd, it's been several African Americans that has been killed by the hands of a white cop. And I hate to say it that way, but it's just facts. You know, I'm not adding anything to it or anything. It's just facts. But dealing with something like that all over America, how do we stop it? How do we stop it? We know everybody that says, every preacher that says, I've been called to preach by God.
Hasn't been, right.
Thank you. And we know everyone, all these cops that said, you know, that I'm a cop, I'm here to protect and serve, are not all good cops. It's just across the globe, okay? But how do we get to the point that we know who is good or bad? How many times does a person, because Derek Chauvin, if I may not pronouncing his name correctly on the end, Chauvin, I think that's what it is. Yeah. So I've learned he had like 12 complaints against him that were not all, no one was Caucasian, I don't think. They think they were all people of color, other races. Is that correct? Does anybody know if that's correct?
I don't know.
And if that's true, how many times does the person has to be complained on before he's being looked at like, okay, let's see what's going on with this male or female, because there's too many complaints and they're always the same complaint, some type of violent complaint. So how many times do you need to be complained on?
Well, I mean, you know, I mean, how many times will it take for you to be complained on for you to lose your job? So, exactly. You know, it's a little different, you know, and that's what needs to change policies. But, you know, for me, I have two sons and, you know, age 29 and 25, and I fear for their life. You know, I mean, when you have to, the fact that you have to tell your son, Lahoma, you know, the fact that don't do this, don't do that. I'm going to tell you, I have friends who are not Black and they don't teach their children that. Mm-mm. They don't teach their kids not to move and, you know, because at the end of the day, you can do all those things that you taught your son. You can do all those things and still get your life taken. We see it over and over again. Now we have Mr. Eastland, you know, what, 29? I keep 31?
31.
31 years old, Mr. Eastland, you know, and, you know, big guy, you know, played football, you know, in college and high school, and, you know, what are you, like 6 something?
6'4".
6'4".
Wow.
You know, we won't ask your weight, but but you know,
Oh, wow.
what did your mama, what did your grandmother, what did some woman in your life tell you about police officers growing up?
Honestly, it's the same thing as Lahoma said. I've been granted, not a lot of people haven't. They don't have the relationships my family have with other communities. My family, we're restaurants, Martin's Barbecue, so we are pillars in the community. But again, it was never that conversation. Not to do this, not to that. I didn't come in contact with this until after college. I didn't, come into contact with race until after college. I started working for the state of Texas in Brenham. And that's when I had my first encounter, when I realized people didn't like me because I was Black. And I was like, oh, this stage is
But
real.
how did that make you feel? Because when I found out that people didn't like me for the color of my skin,
it was, believe it or not, it was shocking, because I was like, you don't like me? Everybody likes me. Like, I'm Mr.Eastland. Like, how can you not like me? And like I say, going to a engineering high school and studying with Booker T. Washington, you're surrounded by so many different ethnics, so many different races. So it's like I never had an encounter with it until literally I became an adult and I was in the real world, where people could care less about you being an athlete. They can care less about the grades you make in school. They can care less about the car you drive, care less about your status or your title. But now I have to move in a certain parameters and just different degrees. When I go to certain places and I'm driving, I make sure I don't have a ball cap on. I make sure I don't have a hood on. I make sure it's yes, sir, no, sir. I make sure that I'm governing myself within those rules and parameters, to where I don't give a person a reason to have to get,
but Ernest,
forcefully aggressive.
but
I mean, and just like, right? No, so.
You
but
did all those things right, but then what?
Yeah, but it'd just be, but me doing those things and and governing within those boundaries, it gives me less access for things to occur to me. Like Ms. Richardson said, when you go up, I'm very connected. I know the appropriate people. I know high powered attorneys. I know judges. I know I will have my day. So you do as less as possible. Like I said, I'm a big guy. So you're already coming to me feeling threatened, because you can't handle me one-on-one physically. You already know that. So me having that knowledge, knowing that I'm already stronger than this man, because the average man looks at me, I'm bigger than him. I tower over him.
Okay, so
me.
So Mr. Eastland, so the young man, you're around your age in New York City, he was selling loose cigarettes. Big like you, 4 cops on him. He was not trying to hurt anyone. He ended up dying the same way. They took his life on the streets of New York. So you do all things. The truth of the fact is, if we're not connected to God, it doesn't matter how many connections we have, because the truth is, the devil said he's coming to steal, he's coming to kill, and he's coming to destroy. Because we can do everything right, and I'm gonna tell you, things can still go wrong. And we got too many cases in our community that we continue to see these cases happen. Here we on this line alone, we have professional people. Dr. Lynette, how long have you been a doctor?
About 22 years, 22, 23 years.
And just tell a little bit about, tell people what type of doctor that you are. That 22 years is really, I don't play the lottery or nothing, but that number 22, Stacey, when I come to you, I'm going to expect 22 from something, right? So Dr. Lynette, tell us, what kind of doctor you are, and, just about you, because I think if there's people who are watching, we need to let them know that we are educated, intelligent and concerned women and men. And, so tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I would like to just piggyback on what Mr. Eastland was talking about, where he says he tries to avoid wearing certain things. As a physician, what I hear from a sort of a medical standpoint is that he was trying to minimize the risk He's trying to
Yeah.
minimize the risk of the disease of police brutality. And so I certainly understand what he was saying. Can we eliminate all risks? Of course not. But if we can do, within our power, and it's unfortunate, he has to modify his behavior, but it's the unfortunate reality. And hopefully one day it won't be. But again, I am Dr. Lynette. My last name is Moore. On the screen it says Dr. Lynette, MD, but I'm Dr. Lynette Moore. I am go through my background. I'm a proud undergraduate, graduate of Howard University. I received my Bachelor of Science in Nursing. I then went on to the prestigious Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta, Georgia, and received my medical degree. I then trained in internal medicine and family medicine at Eastern Virginia Medical School in Norfolk, Virginia, where I've stayed in the Hampton Roads area since finishing residency. And presently, I do provide outpatient medical care for an organization, and I do holistic health coaching, and I consider that the holistic health coaching my ministry, where I hope to empower, educate others to live healthy lives.
Awesome.
Very good.
Awesome.
I love it.
Very
Mrs. Lahoma Richardson, tell us about yourself and your ministries and all that you do.
Well, I want to say to Dr. Moore that my maiden name is Moore, so there may be a little bit of a little bit of bloodline up in there some type of way. But yes, I am Lahoma Moore Richardson, and I work for the Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office since March 1st, 1998, which is 22 years. And I am the, there you go, I am the supervisor for the reentry program there, where we put the guys in the classes, teach them, educate them, teach them life skills and whatever else we have to offer, so that when they are released from prison, they will not recidivate. I stress very, very strongly to those guys when I talk to them, as much as I can, try to help them out, because you would be surprised of the gentlemen that I have come across that their lives since a child has been horrible. And it's so sad. People really don't understand a lot of the offenders, what they've gone through in their lives. You know, you look at them like, oh, they're in jail, they did something bad, they need to be there. You just don't have an idea until you actually sit down and talk to them, and they can tell you what their childhood life was all about, which led them to that point. And a lot of times it's because of their environment. You know, we don't pick our parents. You know, you can choose your spouse, you can choose the type of job you want, but you can't choose your coworkers, and you can't choose your parents. That's just what you have. So if you have parents that raised you, or maybe one parent that raised you not so well, what do you think is going to happen to that child? They're going to fall victim to society, and they grow up, and sometimes they act out and they do stuff because of the anger that's been built up in them from a child. So I do my hardest, I try my hardest to encourage them and to build them, build their character, and tell them just because you've done time don't mean it's over for you. You know, you only fail when you stop trying. So I make sure that I talk to them as much as I can, because I feel like God has placed me in that position to do that job. That is a ministry in itself when you're trying to help someone do better. That's a ministry in itself. And then offer them Jesus Christ. I can never leave that out. Have to offer them Jesus Christ. So it's a challenging job, but I'm built for it. No way, shape, or form do I think, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. No, 110% says, no, Lahoma, yes, Lahoma, you should be doing this. Don't second guess it. And I recently built a page on IG, I guess about a month ago. It's breaking_recidivism. And it's where I go on there and I'm trying to reach as many people as I can, ex-offenders, even if there's prisons throughout the different countries that offer Instagram to offenders. I don't know that we don't in our prison. They can't get on social media, nothing like that, but I don't know. So I'm just doing my best to try to reach out as much as I can. Right. I've even offered my services to go into prisons after I'm off work. I mean, just rendering my services any way, shape, or form that I can go in and speak to offenders and talk to them and just encourage as much, inspire, motivate, everything. That's what I'm all about.
You know,
So
yeah. Ooh.
the model is kind of like on the back burner right now. It's not in the forefront. Me trying to help people and help offenders, ex-offenders, that's in the forefront. That is truly what I want to do.
You know, I think Stacey said it early on, like, you know, you just don't know when you were talking about George Floyd about, you know, he would have never known that he would have made such an impact. And when I look at all you ladies, you know, and, you know, but Lahoma, you know, we go way, way back. And to see that she has this love and, you know, passion for her job is just really a blessing for me because, you know, I would say she's, you know how you have that girly friend, like Lahoma was like, you know, like girly. So when I even saw her in her uniform with the gun and everything, it was just shocking to me. But you know, because you know, you have to understand this woman would leave without stockings and her hair done, and you know, so
We're multifaceted.
yes. So you know, it's just incredible. So Miss Stacey Porter, you know, tell us about all that you do with the Self Foundation and all the other gifts that God has given you in your ministries.
Okay, so again, thank you, Lisa. I'm Stacey Porter. I'm an artist, designer of jewelry, and I am the co-founder and president of the Self Foundation. And so we've gone in and worked in schools teaching different curriculums, physical education, tutoring, just helping the whole person develop in middle school age children because we felt like that was where the biggest impact could be made. Right now, my ministry has made a tremendous shift as far as I'm concerned because I have since added holistic health care into the repertoire, and I just feel like kids need to, and people in general, they need to understand there are other ways or many ways to make yourself whole, make yourself healthy. A lot of times just what we invite into our spirit plays a big part in how, you know, our health ends up. That's why I think I mentioned earlier, I only watched but so much. I got the gist of it and then I left it alone because there are things that we can invite into our spirit that can come in there and die. And you see people struggle with things from when they were 10 years old and they can, you know, they're 60 now and they're still trying to work out those issues. And God didn't design us that way. He didn't. He designed us to be able to move through those things. And I just believe that understanding how you perceive things, how you approach things, your approach to situations can determine your health. And Dr. Moore, you can correct me being a medical doctor if I'm going the wrong way, but that approach to how you feel about things, what you invite into your spirit does affect your health. And I want to start with these middle school age kids, and I do work also with some elementary kids, school age kids as well. And I just believe that understanding that we're not just our physical bodies, you know, we have a spirit and an energy that comes with us, and God gave us all this stuff. And that's what I want to add to the curriculum of what I've been working with these kids with, and this understanding you have the power to obtain wholeness and good health.
I love it. Thank you, Stacey. And you know, I know you have such a passion for that. And yeah, Houston, we got, you know, again, you know, this is the encounter room. And so, you know, our whole goal here is for people to have an encounter with God, and for those to have a re-encounter and to know that, you know, we can do not some things, but we can do all things. When I look at all of you all, I see gifts, you know, gifts that God has given you, gifts that he has given to the world. And, you know, it's really quite amazing. I feel like I need to have each of you all just for a separate interview because, you know, Dr. Lynette, I want to talk to you more about the stress and about gut health and about holistic health. And, you know, maybe you and Stacey can talk and team up and do some things. Because, again, she's in Houston, Texas. She's doing holistic, adding that to her repertoire as well. And, you know, Lahoma, you know, as well. You know, we have to stay connected as women, you know, because we have to continue to push each other, empower us. And, you know, so Mr. Eastland, I'm going to let you, you know, you're going to end it up, you know.
Say, I mean, since I'm now allowed to speak, you know, since I'm surrounded by so much, but no, I just want to take the time out to say thank you guys, not guys, thank you women for being a mother from afar. I just want to say thank you for your strength, your due diligence, your affirmations, your prayers, your protection, your love, your discipline, no matter how tough it may be. Thank you. Again, I'm just compelled, and I have an obligation as a Black man to let you know that I'm forever eternally grateful for you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Eastland, will you pray us out of here?
Oh, most certainly. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today, again, just blessed with another day of opportunity, of a day of life that should come no more. We thank you for these beautiful women that you've allowed us to have connection with this morning. We continue to ask you to touch their family and touch their friends. Continue to keep them safe, all hurt, harm, and danger, seen as well as unseen. Asking that you continue to manifest their gifts within their lives for the benefit of your kingdom. These are all blessings. We just say thank you for all, the great, the good, the bad, and the worst. Understand that it works in all our favor to benefit you. These are all blessings in your darling son, Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
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 Man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
Thank
It was a pleasure meeting everyone.
all the 22s. I appreciate
All
all
the
the
all the twos.
20, listen, I'm going to tell you something with that too. We're going to figure it out. But listen, God is so good and so amazing. I just want to thank you all for being here in the encounter room for breakfast and, you know, taking time out on your Saturday. And just to let you know that we love you. We love you. We love you. And we hope you come back. So God bless you. And we'll see you soon. If you guys can just stay on for a moment right after this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm.